Welcome to the Business Excellence for Managers podcast. This show is proudly sponsored by my company, Wave Business Excellence Footprint, the training company serving clients all around the globe dedicated to your development and the growth of your employees. Learn more at www.wave-bef.com. This podcast is designed for managers like you, whether you're new to business excellence or already have experience in the field. With years of experience as a senior consultant and as a chief quality officer for large multinational corporations, I'm thrilled to share practical tips and insights on business excellence. Together, we will explore ways to improve employee satisfaction, optimize processes, and elevate the quality of your products and services, so your clients can truly love what you do. I know your time is valuable, so each episode will be short, focused, and impactful. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Excellence for Management podcast. I'm so great to have you here. Today's tool that I'm going to cover with you is called Elements to Lead Change. It's going to give you an easier way on how to identify what are the roadblocks that I have if my employees are not happy in doing a specific project or a specific initiative in the organization. Sometimes there is confusion about what needs to be done. Sometimes we feel that our employees might have a certain level of anxiety. Perhaps our projects are just taking too long and they're just stretching like chewing gum, and we do not know why does this project or does this initiative not come to an end. Sometimes we can even feel that there's a level of frustration in the organization, and perhaps there is a trick on how to push change forward in order to execute the projects and initiatives that we have planned without having too many roadblocks. And here I'm going to give you a couple of elements that's going to help you with this journey. The first thing that you should do as a manager when you are starting a new initiative or a new project is to clarify the vision. The vision needs to be crystal clear, and you should be able to transmit this vision to your employees. Make it as clear as possible. Make it look as if they're already living there in that moment when you come to the end stage of that project or that initiative. So make sure that your vision is very, very clear for everybody. If you're not sure if everybody understood what is the vision, then please check with them. You can even ask them, what did they understand about the vision that I as a manager was just explaining about? If we think that they all understood properly, then we can go on with checking the skills. It's very important to know that we have the right people on board when we're doing a specific project or a specific initiative. We need to make sure that they are trained, that they have the skills that they need in order to get to that vision. The next important point is the motivation. Sometimes we get projects from head office and we have to give them over to our project managers, and many times the motivation is not there because they say, well, that's not a very exciting project. That is not something I feel like doing, but they would have to do it anyway. So therefore, it's our job as a manager to see how can I motivate my employees to make them realize that when we do this initiative and when we can complete it properly, what is the outcome? What will be the benefit for them? What will be the benefit for us as a company? And therefore, again, to strengthen that and link it together with our vision. Our key purpose here is to keep our employees motivated. The next element that we have, which is number 4, is resources. We need to make sure that when we start a project or an initiative, that we have sufficient headcount or we have sufficient capacity in order to put that project forward, in order to move ahead with that initiative. Therefore, you should also take into consideration that resources is not just the time that's available by your employees, but it could also be the hardware and software that we need in order to push this project forward. And the last piece is the action plan. This is where you will create the roadmap and the timeline to show your team members how are we going to get from where we are today to that vision that I'm just explaining to everybody. If they do not see the action plan, then it could be a little bit confusing about how are we actually going to get there. So that is very important. And here, that was the overview of the 5 key elements that we need to lead change. Now, what would happen if one of these elements would be missing? Let's go and play that example for all of these elements. What do you think would happen if you have the skills in your team, you have motivated employees, you have enough time and resources to push this project forward, and you have a clear action plan on how to get there? But you do not have the vision. So, what do you think will happen? I will give you 3 seconds to think about that. If there is no vision, then you will create some type of confusion in your organization. You are going to find that people are motivated to do something. They have the time, they have the skills, they have a roadmap how to do the next step, but they do not know exactly where to go because they do not have that clear vision from you as a manager. So that is going to cause an emotion of confusion. In order to remove confusion in your team, make sure that you can very clearly state what is the vision that you have and what is this project and this initiative going to bring to the company, and what do I see once this project has been finalized. Now, in our next scenario, we're going to have a clear vision. We will have the motivation from our team, we'll have the resources, the action plan, but what's missing here are the skills from our employees. So, what do you think will the lack of skills bring to the organization? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about that. That's going to cause anxiety. The emotion of anxiety will arise if they know what is the direction we want to go because you have set a clear vision. They are motivated to do that because they would like to achieve that vision. We have the resources, we have an action plan, but the people who we have on board do not have the training and the coaching required in order to get there. So therefore you will have the emotion of anxiety because they're unsure if I'm going to make it, they're unsure if we're going to be successful, they're unsure if they're even the right ones to be doing this. So therefore it's your job as a manager to make sure that your employees are the right ones linked to that project and to that initiative, and that you will be providing them with the proper training and coaching needed so that the emotion of anxiety does not arise in your team. Now, what do you think would happen if we have all of these elements, but motivation would be missing? So think about it. We have the vision, we have the skills, we have our resources and an action plan, but there's no motivation to do that project by our team members. I give you 3 seconds to think about what will happen. There's something called idle. Idle time means when nothing really is happening. It's like having your car in neutral. You just put the gear into neutral, you step on the gas, and nothing happens. Just a lot of noise is happening, and the engine it's revving up, but you do not move forward. Same happens in the organization. You start a project or you start an initiative, and then you hear that there's a lot of things happening, but you're not moving forward with the project. You're looking at the project plan and you see that there are delays. There are always excuses why we are not finishing those deliverables on time, why we did not achieve the steps in the toll gate, why are we not advancing with the project. So usually that is the signal of lack of motivation because people are just not into it. They do not feel that they have their heart and blood into that project. So, what's your job as a manager? Make sure that you motivate them. Make sure that you can clarify that vision in such a way that they will feel motivated, that they will feel that they do have some type of contribution to improving the company by completing this project. And what's the importance that we have to do this project? In case they're not motivated by that specific project, then perhaps we can motivate them in another way to say, look, once this project is done, you can choose the next exciting topic that you would like to do in the organization. Perhaps your team has an innovative idea that they would like to present to management in order to do their next big project for business excellence or for innovation or anything that they feel really motivated about. Sometimes by telling them, okay, let's get this one done. It's not very sexy one, but let's get it done so that we can do something that's really much more appealing to all of you. So that could be also a source of motivation. Now, there's something called situational leadership, meaning that not everybody gets motivated by the same thing. So it's your job as a manager to be kind of a psychologist to find out what are the things that are going to motivate certain employees and what are the things that are going to demotivate some of them. So I cannot be using the same technique for everybody in my team because what might motivate somebody will not motivate another person. I just had an example from one of my team members where some of them were very motivated to do home office, while others did not want to do home office at all because in their situation, if they are at home, they cannot focus on their work because they do not have an extra room. They might not have an extra place where they can be focusing on their work and not to be interrupted by their kids running around or by their dog barking at the mailman and so forth. So therefore, if you want to motivate your employees, you need to find out what are the things that are really going to be the ones that are going to trigger that. Okay, now we've come to the second last one, which is all about the topic of missing resources. What would happen if we have the vision, we have the skills, we have the motivation, and we have an action plan, but we do not have the resources? We do not have enough people, we do not have enough time or capacity in order to do that project. What type of emotion do you think will come out of that situation? I give you 3 seconds to think about that. The emotion is frustration. Very often, you will notice that if you have too many projects going on at the same time, too many things, too many initiatives running in the organization at the same time, then everybody is jumping everywhere and they do not have time to fully dedicate themselves to a specific topic or project. So that will increase the frustration in your team. It's not nice when they know that we need to get somewhere. That's our vision. We are motivated to get there. We have the skills, we have the action plan, but we do not have the time to do it. So that is quite frustrating. And if you see a level of frustration in your team, then perhaps that is the point that you need to focus on how to rearrange our priorities in the team so that we can have a more prioritized and laser sharp vision on what are the topics that we need to focus on right now and what are the things that we can do a bit later. Now we have come to our last point, which is what happens if we do not have an action plan. Meaning we already have the vision, we have the skills in our team, we got the motivation, we got the resources, but there is no action plan from our side. Well, in that sense, we would have a false start for that project or that initiative because we should not show our team this really nice and exciting vision that we have and explain to them, look, you are all the right persons to do it because you have the skills for that, to motivate everybody, to provide them with the time, but not even showing them how we're going to get there. So it's our job also to make sure that they know what's the plan, what's the roadmap, what are the key milestones that we have, what's the plan that we need in order to get to that vision. So if we have that, then it's the right start. If you don't have that, it's the false start. So do not even start with it yet until you have that high level idea of how are we going to get to that vision. For example, if we tell them that we're going to have 3 sessions. Each session is going to be focusing on the definition of the problems, then the second one in the root causes, on the third one in the solutions and creating an action plan and then executing on that action plan. So that's more or less giving them a very high level view of how are we going to get to that vision. But if you leave all of that out, there's going to be a lot of questioning and a lot of thinking and debating in your team. And at the same time, it's also going to cause a lot of waste and energy to think about how are we going to get there. So do not forget to have a good action plan. So as a summary, once you have the action plan, then everybody will know what is the way forward. How are we going to separate the time that we have in order to dedicate ourselves to this project or this initiative. So now we have covered all of the elements and what would happen if we are missing one of those elements in each of these categories. I have also highlighted here the types of emotions that arise when you are starting a new project or an initiative. If you start finding out that there is some type of confusion going on in your team, then you know you need to check your vision. Have you done your vision properly? Is it clearly stated? Have you done a really good job in describing it into detail? If you feel that your team members might have some type of anxiety in this project, then perhaps you're missing the skills. Perhaps you need to send some of your employees into some type of training so that they have the right skills and feel confident that they can tackle this project. If you come to the situation that the project does not move forward, then perhaps you should look if there is enough motivation to do that project. And on the other side, if you feel that your team members have a certain level of frustration, then you should definitely look how is capacity planning doing, how the resources doing, do they have the hardware and software in order to achieve that project result that you desire, in order to achieve that vision. Therefore, once you have all of these elements together, you can lead change. You can move forward with your projects and initiatives. That's it for this episode of Business Excellence for Managers. As I often say, investing in yourself is the best investment. If you would like to explore courses and certification programs designed specifically for managers aimed at boosting your business excellence initiatives, increasing employee satisfaction, and improving process performance, then visit the Courses for Managers section on my website. Alternatively, if you are interested in helping your employees develop new skills and methods for solving process challenges, promoting a continuous improvement mindset, and bringing more value to your company, check out the Courses for Employees section. You can find both at www.wave-bef.com. Thank you for tuning in, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode.